By separating these contexts, you create clearer cues for your brain about what behavior is appropriate in each situation. This approach, creating distinct environments for different habits, is powerful but can be challenging in practice, especially for those living in small spaces or with limited resources. However, even in constrained circumstances, it's possible to create activity zones within a single space. A specific chair for reading, a particular corner for meditation, a certain table for focused work. The key is consistency. By repeatedly using these spaces for their designated purposes, you strengthen the association between the environment and the desired behavior. It's worth noting that while changing your environment can be a powerful tool for habit change, it's not a magic solution. Old habits don't disappear. They remain encoded in our brains, waiting for the right cues to reactivate them. This is why people who have quit smoking for years might suddenly crave a cigarette in a high-stress situation. Someone who has maintained a healthy diet might binge on food during an emotional time. The persistence of these encoded habits underscores the importance of ongoing environmental management. It's not enough to create a supportive environment once. We need to continually reinforce it and be mindful of potential triggers. This might mean avoiding certain situations entirely, having strategies in place for unavoidable triggers, regularly reassessing and adjusting our environment as our goals and circumstances change. Moreover, it's crucial to recognize that our environment extends beyond our physical surroundings. Our social connections, daily routines, and even our internal dialogue all form part of the context that shapes our habits. Changing habits often requires addressing these aspects as well. This might involve seeking out new social circles that support our goals, establishing routines that reinforce positive behaviors, working on our self-talk to create a more supportive internal environment. The implications of this environmental approach to habit change are far-reaching. On a personal level, it offers a more compassionate and effective way to approach self-improvement. Rather than berating ourselves for lack of willpower, we can focus on designing environments that make success inevitable. This shift in perspective can reduce shame and increase our sense of agency in shaping our behaviors. On a broader scale, this understanding has significant implications for public health and policy. Instead of relying solely on education or willpower-based interventions, we should focus on creating environments that naturally promote healthier choices. This could involve urban planning that encourages physical activity, workplace designs that reduce stress and promote well-being, or food policies that make healthy options more accessible and affordable. In conclusion, the secret to self-control and lasting habit change lies not in Herculean feats of willpower but in the thoughtful design of our environment. By understanding the powerful role that context plays in shaping our behavior, we can create surroundings that naturally guide us toward our goals. This approach doesn't eliminate the need for effort or commitment, but it does make the path of positive change much smoother and more sustainable. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, with its myriad distractions and temptations, this environmental perspective on habit formation becomes increasingly valuable. It empowers us to be active architects of our own behavior, shaping our surroundings to support the person we aspire to be. Whether we're trying to break a bad habit, establish a good one, or simply live more intentionally, the key often lies in the world we create around us. By mastering our environment, we can master ourselves. Habits are powerful shapers of our identities and lives. Each action we take, no matter how small, serves as a vote for the type of person we aspire to be. When we finish reading a book, we cast a vote for being someone who values knowledge and literature. When we hit the gym, we're voting for a health-conscious identity. Practicing an instrument is a vote for musicianship. These individual actions may seem insignificant in isolation, but over time, they accumulate into compelling evidence of who we are becoming. This perspective on habit formation offers a refreshing take on personal growth. It suggests that meaningful change doesn't necessarily require drastic measures or overnight transformations. Instead, it's the consistent small habits that can make a profound difference by gradually building up evidence of a new identity. This is the paradox of incremental improvement. What seems like minor progress can actually lead to significant change when viewed through the lens of identity formation. Consider how this plays out in various aspects of life. Each time you put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, you reinforce your identity as a writer. Every practice session with a musical instrument strengthens your musician identity. Starting a workout, regardless of its intensity or duration, is an affirmation of your athletic self. So when you take the time to encourage and support your team members, you're cementing your role as a leader. But the impact of these habits goes beyond just achieving specific outcomes or developing skills. Perhaps more importantly, they teach us to trust ourselves. As we consistently follow through on our intentions, we begin to believe in our ability to accomplish our goals. This growing self-trust is a powerful force that can propel us forward in all areas of life. It's crucial to recognize that this process works both ways. Just as positive habits reinforce desirable identities, negative habits can solidify less desirable ones. Every time we give in to procrastination, for instance, we're casting a vote for being someone who lacks discipline. When we choose unhealthy foods over nutritious options, we're voting for an identity that doesn't prioritize well-being. However, the good news is that perfection isn't necessary. In any election, there are always votes for both sides. The key is to win the majority. This means that occasional slip-ups or bad habits don't negate our progress as long as we're consistently making choices that align with our desired identity more often than not. This understanding of habit formation as identity shaping leads us to a simple but powerful two-step process for personal transformation. 1. Decide on the type of person you want to become. 2. Prove it to yourself through small, consistent wins. The first step, deciding who we want to be, is arguably the most challenging. It requires deep introspection and honesty about our values, principles, and aspirations. This applies not just to individuals but to teams, communities, and even nations. What do we stand for? What principles guide our actions? Who do we aspire to become? For many, these questions can feel overwhelming. It's often easier to focus on specific outcomes we want to achieve: losing weight, reducing anxiety, or increasing our income. While these goals are valid starting points, the key is to work backward from these desired results to the type of person who could achieve them. Who is the kind of person that maintains a healthy weight? Who embodies the calm and centeredness we associate with low anxiety? Who has the skills, mindset, and habits that lead to financial success? This shift in focus from outcome-based thinking to identity-based thinking can be transformative. Instead of fixating on writing a book, we concentrate on becoming the type of person who writes consistently. Rather than obsessing over a target weight, we focus on embodying the habits and mindset of a healthy person. This approach aligns our daily actions with our deepest values and aspirations. Once we've clarified our desired identity, the second step is to reinforce it through small, consistent actions. These don't need to be grand gestures or dramatic changes. In fact, it's often the seemingly insignificant choices that have the most profound impact over time. Choosing to walk instead of driving, opting for a salad over fast food, or spending 10 minutes reading before bed. These small decisions, repeated consistently, shape our identity far more than occasional bursts of motivation or short-lived resolutions. This process creates a powerful feedback loop. Our habits shape our identity, and our identity in turn influences our habits. As we consistently act in alignment with our desired identity, we strengthen our belief in that identity, which makes it easier to maintain those habits. This virtuous cycle can lead to profound and lasting change. It's important to note that this approach to habit formation and personal growth is not about achieving specific external measures of success. While habits can certainly help us reach goals like earning more money, losing weight, or reducing stress, their true value lies in their ability to shape our identity. They are the means through which we develop and reinforce our deepest beliefs about ourselves. This perspective on habits offers a more holistic and sustainable approach to personal development. Instead of chasing fleeting goals or external validation, we focus on becoming the type of person we aspire to be. This shift in focus can lead to more meaningful and lasting change, as our actions become aligned with our core values and desired identity. Moreover, this approach to habit formation acknowledges the fluid nature of identity. We are not fixed entities, but rather dynamic beings capable of growth and change. Our identity is not set in stone. It's a choice we make in every moment through our actions and habits. This realization is empowering, as it puts the power of change squarely in our own hands. The process of identity-based habit formation also highlights the importance of patience and consistency. Meaningful change doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of countless small actions and decisions made consistently over time. This understanding can help us stay committed to our goals even when progress seems slow or setbacks occur. Additionally, this approach to personal growth encourages a more compassionate attitude toward ourselves. Instead of berating ourselves for failures or slip-ups, we can view them as part of the natural process of change. As long as we're winning the majority of the time, casting more votes for our desired identity than against it, we're moving in the right direction. Identity formation and the power of habits. Identity formation has implications beyond individual growth. It can be applied to organizational change, community development, and even societal transformation. By focusing on the type of organization, community, or society we want to be, and consistently taking actions that align with that vision, we can create meaningful change on a larger scale. In conclusion, the power of habits lies not just in their ability to help us achieve specific goals, but in their capacity to shape our very identity. By focusing on who we want to become rather than what we want to achieve, we can create more meaningful and lasting change in our lives. Through consistent small actions, we cast votes for our desired identity, gradually becoming the person we aspire to be. This process of continuous self-evolution, guided by our deepest values and aspirations, is the true essence of personal growth and fulfillment. As we align our habits with our desired identity, we not only improve our lives but also contribute to positive change in our communities and the world at large. The science of habit formation. The human brain is a remarkable organ, constantly adapting and evolving to help us navigate the complexities of life. One of its most fascinating abilities is the formation of habits, automatic behaviors that allow us to function efficiently in our daily lives. Understanding how habits form and why they're so crucial to our success can provide valuable insights into human behavior and personal growth. The fundamental nature of habits. At their core, habits are behaviors that have been repeated so frequently that they become automatic. This process of habit formation begins with a period of trial and error, much like the experiences of the cats in Edward Thorndike's famous puzzle box experiments. When we encounter a new situation or challenge, our brain must decide how to respond. Initially, we may feel uncertain, trying different approaches to see what works best. This period is characterized by high neurological activity as our brain carefully analyzes the situation, taking in new information and making conscious decisions about how to act. Through this process of exploration, we occasionally stumble upon a solution that works well, a behavior that solves our problem or provides a reward. Perhaps we discover that going for a run helps alleviate anxiety, or that playing video games after work helps us unwind from a stressful day. These discoveries are pivotal moments in habit formation. Once we experience an unexpected reward, our brain immediately begins to take notice. It starts cataloging the events that preceded the reward, trying to identify the actions that led to this positive outcome. This is the essence of learning. Our brain is constantly seeking to understand cause and effect relationships in our environment. With repeated practice, our brain refines this process. Useless actions fade away, while beneficial behaviors are reinforced. This is how a habit begins to take shape. Over time, what once required conscious effort becomes automatic, a reliable solution to a recurring problem in our environment. As habits form, an interesting neurological shift occurs. The level of brain activity actually decreases. This is because our brain has learned to focus on the cues that predict success and ignore everything else. It creates a mental shortcut. If this situation arises, then perform this action. This cognitive script can be followed automatically whenever the appropriate situation presents itself. This automation is incredibly beneficial from an evolutionary perspective. Habits are, in essence, mental shortcuts learned from experience. They allow us to efficiently solve problems we've encountered before without having to analyze the situation anew each time. This frees up our conscious mind, the bottleneck of the brain, to focus on novel challenges and more complex tasks. The 4 stages of habit formation. The formation of habits follows a consistent pattern that can be broken down into 4 key stages. Cue, craving, response, and reward. Understanding this pattern can provide valuable insights into how we can shape our own behavior and build positive habits. 1. Cue. The process begins with a cue, a bit of information that predicts a reward. In our ancestral environment, these cues might have signaled the location of food, water, or potential mates. Today, we're more often attuned to cues that predict secondary rewards like money, status, approval, or personal satisfaction. Importantly, these modern pursuits still indirectly improve our odds of survival and reproduction, tapping into our deepest evolutionary motivations. 2. Craving. The cue triggers a craving, the motivational force behind every habit. Without some level of motivation or desire, we have no reason to act. What we crave is not the habit itself, but the change in state it delivers. We don't crave smoking a cigarette, we crave the feeling of relief it provides. We don't crave watching TV. We crave the entertainment and relaxation it offers. 3. Response. This is the actual habit we perform, which can take the form of a thought or an action. Whether a response occurs depends on how motivated we are and how much friction is associated with the behavior. If a particular action requires more physical or mental effort than we're willing to expend, we won't do it. 4. Reward. The reward is the end goal of every habit. We chase rewards because they satisfy our cravings and teach us which actions are worth remembering in the future. The cue is about noticing the reward. The craving is about wanting the reward. The response is about obtaining the reward. In fact, we can understand the entire habit loop as a continuous cycle aimed at reward acquisition. This four-stage pattern plays out in countless ways in our daily lives, often without our conscious awareness. For instance, consider the habit of checking your phone. A cue, a notification sound or feeling bored. A craving, the desire for distraction or connection. Response, picking up the phone and checking apps. Reward, momentary entertainment or social connection. Understanding this pattern can be incredibly empowering. It allows us to dissect our existing habits and intentionally shape new ones. By manipulating the cues in our environment, managing our cravings, simplifying our desired responses, and enhancing the rewards associated with positive behaviors, we can effectively rewire our habits. Habits and identity. However, it's crucial to recognize that habit formation is not about achieving perfection. It's about winning the majority of the time. Every action is a vote for the type of person you want to become. You don't need a unanimous vote to win an election. You just need a majority. Therefore, it's okay if you make a mistake or slip up occasionally. The goal is to tally up enough votes for your desired identity over time. This perspective on habit formation offers a more compassionate and realistic approach to personal growth. Instead of beating ourselves up over occasional failures, we can focus on consistently making choices that align with our desired identity more often than not. Moreover, this approach to habit formation acknowledges the fluid nature of identity. We are not fixed entities but dynamic beings capable of growth and change. Our identity emerges from our habits, and our habits shape our identity in turn. This creates a powerful feedback loop that can lead to profound personal transformation over time. Habits and freedom. It's worth noting that while habits can be incredibly beneficial, some people worry that too much routine might make life dull or restrict their freedom. However, this concern sets up a false dichotomy between habits and freedom. In reality, good habits create freedom by automating the mundane aspects of life, freeing up mental resources for more important tasks and decisions. Consider financial habits, for instance. Good financial habits, like regularly saving a portion of your income or tracking expenses, might seem restrictive in the short term. However, these habits ultimately create more freedom by providing financial stability and options in the long run. Similarly, good health habits might require some discipline initially, but they provide the energy and vitality needed to fully engage in life's experiences. In essence, habits are tools that can be leveraged to create the life we desire. They are not about restricting our choices, but about aligning our automatic behaviors with our deepest values and aspirations. By thoughtfully cultivating positive habits, we can automate the fundamentals of life, creating the mental space needed for creativity, growth, and the pursuit of our most meaningful goals. Habits in society. It's also important to recognize that habits exist on a spectrum of automaticity. Some habits are so ingrained that they occur completely without conscious thought, while others may require some level of intentionality, especially in their early stages of formation. This spectrum allows for flexibility in how we approach habit formation and modification. Furthermore, habits don't exist in isolation. They are part of larger systems in our lives, often interconnected in complex ways. A single keystone habit can trigger a cascade of positive changes across various areas of life. For example, developing a regular exercise habit might lead to better eating choices, improved sleep, increased productivity, and enhanced mood. As we deepen our understanding of habits, we can also appreciate their role in shaping not just individual lives but entire societies. Collective habits form the basis of culture, and changing societal norms often involves shifting the habits of many individuals. This perspective highlights the profound impact that personal habit change can have on a larger scale. Conclusion: habits are far more than just repetitive behaviors. They are the building blocks of our identities, the shapers of our daily experiences, and the determinants of our long-term outcomes. By understanding the science of habit formation and leveraging this knowledge in our lives, we can take conscious control of our automatic behaviors, aligning them with our deepest values and aspirations. This journey of habit formation and identity shaping is not about rigid self-discipline, but about continuous self-evolution. It's about becoming the best version of ourselves, one small action at a time, gradually sculpting us into the individuals we aspire to be. It's a process of continuous growth and refinement, where each small action is a vote for our desired identity. As we navigate this process, it's crucial to approach it with patience, self-compassion, and a long-term perspective. Meaningful change doesn't happen overnight, but through the accumulation of many small, consistent actions over time. By focusing on the process rather than just the outcome, we can find joy and fulfillment in the journey of personal growth itself. Ultimately, mastering our habits is about taking control of our own evolution. It's about consciously shaping our behaviors, our identities, and by extension, our lives. In doing so, we don't just change our routines, we change our worlds, opening up new possibilities and creating the freedom to live life on our own terms. The intricate workings of human behavior. The intricate workings of human behavior have long fascinated scientists, psychologists, and individuals seeking personal growth. At the heart of our daily actions lies a powerful force: habits. These automated behaviors shape our lives in profound ways, often operating below the surface of our conscious awareness. Understanding the mechanics of habit formation can unlock the potential for meaningful personal change and growth. At its core, every habit follows a predictable pattern, a loop that consists of 4 key stages: cue, craving, response, and reward. This habit loop is not just a theoretical construct, but a neurological reality that plays out countless times each day in our lives. The journey of a habit begins with a cue. This is a trigger, a bit of information that predicts a potential reward. In our modern world, cues can take many forms. The ping of a smartphone notification, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, or the sight of your running shoes by the door. These cues are neutral in themselves, but they have the power to set the habit loop in motion. What transforms a simple cue into a catalyst for action is the second stage of the habit loop: craving. This is where things get interesting from a psychological perspective. Contrary to what we might assume, we don't actually crave the habit itself. Rather, we crave the change in state that the habit promises to deliver. For instance, when you see a notification on your phone, you don't crave the act of checking your phone itself. What you truly desire is the potential nugget of information, the connection, or the momentary distraction it might provide. When you smell coffee, you're not longing for the liquid itself, but for the alertness and comfort it represents. This distinction is crucial because it highlights the emotional and psychological underpinnings of our habits. Cravings are highly personal and can vary dramatically from one individual to another. What triggers an intense desire in one person might be entirely insignificant to another. This is why understanding your own cravings is a key step in mastering your habits. The sound of slot machines might ignite an irresistible urge in a habitual gambler, while for others, it's merely background noise. The interpretation of cues, colored by our past experiences, emotions, and current state, is what transforms them into cravings. The third stage of the habit loop is the response. This is the actual habit you perform, which can be a physical action or a mental process. However, a response only occurs if two conditions are met: sufficient motivation and the ability to perform the action. If an action requires more effort than you're willing to expend, or if it's beyond your capabilities, the habit loop breaks down at this stage. This insight offers a powerful lever for habit change. By increasing or decreasing the effort required to perform a habit, we can influence whether it occurs. Want to read more? Leave a book on your bedside table. Trying to cut down on social media? Log out of your accounts after each use, adding a small barrier to mindless scrolling. The final stage of the habit loop is the reward. This is the end goal of every habit, the payoff that satisfies the craving and completes the cycle. Rewards serve a dual purpose. They provide immediate gratification, and they teach us which actions are worth repeating in the future. The immediate satisfaction of a craving is what makes habits so powerful. When you check your phone and find an interesting message, the brief moment of entertainment or connection reinforces the habit. When you take a sip of coffee and feel that first jolt of caffeine, your brain logs that action as worth repeating. But rewards do more than just satisfy momentary desires. They play a crucial role in the learning process that underlies habit formation. Our brains are essentially reward detectors, constantly scanning our experiences to identify which actions lead to pleasurable outcomes. This feedback mechanism helps us distinguish between useful and useless behaviors, gradually shaping our habits over time. Understanding this four-stage habit loop provides a framework for analyzing and modifying our behaviors. If any of these four components is insufficient, a behavior will fail to become a habit. Without a clear cue, a habit won't start. Without a strong enough craving, there's no motivation to act. If the response is too difficult, it won't be performed. And if the reward fails to satisfy, there's no reason to repeat the behavior. This loop isn't just an occasional occurrence. It's an endless cycle that's running every moment we're alive. Our brains are constantly scanning the environment, predicting outcomes, trying responses, and learning from the results. Most of the time, this process happens so quickly and automatically that we're not even aware of it. We can think of the habit loop as having two distinct phases: the problem phase and the solution phase. The problem phase, which includes the cue and craving, is when we recognize that something needs to change. The solution phase, comprising the response and reward, is when we take action to bring about that change. This perspective illuminates a fundamental truth about human behavior. All of our actions are ultimately driven by the desire to solve problems. Sometimes the problem is that we notice something good and want to obtain it. Other times, we're experiencing discomfort and want to alleviate it. In either case, habits form as our brains learn efficient ways to address these recurring situations. Consider some common scenarios. Do you hear your phone buzz? Cue, which triggers a desire to know what the message says. Craving. You pick up your phone and read the text. Response. Satisfying your curiosity. Reward. Or perhaps you're working on a challenging project. Cue, and start to feel overwhelmed. Craving for relief. You might bite your nails. Response. As a way to relieve stress. Reward. These examples illustrate how deeply ingrained habits can become. By the time we reach adulthood, many of our habits are so automatic that we hardly notice them. We don't think about which shoe we tie first in the morning or the fact that we always turn right when we leave our driveway. These patterns of behavior have become so deeply encoded in our neural pathways that they occur without conscious thought. This automaticity is both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it allows us to navigate much of our daily lives efficiently, freeing up mental resources for more complex tasks. On the other hand, it can lead us to perpetuate behaviors that may not serve us well in the long run. The key to harnessing the power of habits lies in becoming more aware of these automatic processes. By shining a light on the cues that trigger our behaviors, the cravings that drive them, the responses we've learned, and the rewards we receive, we can begin to exert more conscious control over our actions. This doesn't mean we need to eliminate automaticity altogether. That would be exhausting and counterproductive. Instead, The goal is to ensure that our automatic behaviors are aligned with our long-term goals and values. We want to cultivate habits that serve us, not ones that hinder our growth or happiness. Changing habits isn't easy, but understanding the habit loop gives us a roadmap for transformation. We can work on each component of the loop to reshape our behaviors. Cues. We can manage our environment to reduce exposure to cues that trigger undesirable habits and increase exposure to cues that prompt positive behaviors. Mastering the habit loop. The 4 stages of habit formation. We can reshape our habits by focusing on each component of the habit loop. 1. Cravings. We can reframe our mental associations to link desired behaviors with positive emotions and outcomes. 2. Response. We can make good habits easier to do and bad habits more difficult, tilting the scales in favor of positive behaviors. 3. Rewards. We can engineer immediate rewards for good habits to make them more satisfying in the short term. It's important to note that habit change is not about achieving perfection. It's about consistently making choices that align with the person we want to become. Every action is a vote for the type of person we wish to be. We don't need to win every vote, but we need to win the majority to see real change. Moreover, habits don't exist in isolation. They're part of larger systems in our lives, often interconnected in complex ways. Changing one habit can have ripple effects, influencing other behaviors and aspects of our lives. This interconnectedness can work in our favor. Sometimes, altering a single keystone habit can lead to a cascade of positive changes across various areas. As we work on our habits, it's crucial to approach the process with patience and self-compassion. Habit formation and change take time. Our brains require repeated experiences to forge new neural pathways and strengthen them to the point of automaticity. This process can't be rushed, but it can be guided. It's also worth considering the broader implications of habit formation beyond individual behavior. Collective habits form the basis of culture, and societal change often involves shifting the habits of many individuals. By understanding and mastering our own habits, we not only improve our personal lives but potentially contribute to positive changes on a larger scale. Conclusion: the science of habit formation. The science of habit formation offers powerful insights into human behavior and personal growth. By understanding the habit loop, cue, craving, response, and reward, we gain a framework for analyzing and modifying our automatic behaviors. This knowledge empowers us to shape our habits intentionally, aligning our automatic actions with our deepest values and aspirations. The journey of habit change is not about achieving perfection or adhering to rigid routines. It's about making consistent, small choices that compound over time, gradually sculpting us into the individuals we aspire to be. It's a process of continuous growth and refinement, where each small action is a vote for our desired identity. As we navigate this process, we must approach it with patience, self-compassion, and a long-term perspective. Meaningful change doesn't happen overnight, but through the accumulation of many small, consistent actions over time. By focusing on the process rather than just the outcome, we can find joy and fulfillment in the journey of personal growth itself. Ultimately, mastering our habits is about taking control of our own evolution. It's about consciously shaping our behaviors, our identities, and, by extension, our lives. In doing so, we don't just change our routines. We change our worlds, opening up new possibilities and creating the freedom to live life on our own terms. The power of habit formation lies not just in its ability to automate our behaviors, but in its potential to transform who we are and who we can become. The human mind, a marvel of efficiency. The human mind is a marvel of efficiency, constantly working to streamline our experiences and behaviors. At the heart of this process lies the formation of habits, automatic behaviors that allow us to navigate daily life with minimal conscious effort. Understanding the mechanics of habit formation provides fascinating insights into human behavior and offers powerful tools for personal growth and transformation. The foundation of habit formation rests on a simple yet profound 4-step process. Cue, craving, response, and reward. This habit loop is the backbone of every habit, from the most trivial to the most impactful. By understanding and manipulating these 4 components, we gain the ability to shape our behaviors intentionally, cultivating habits that serve our goals and dismantling those that hinder us. Breaking down the habit loop. 1. The cue, the trigger that initiates a habit. It can be anything in our environment that our brain associates with a particular behavior. To harness the power of cues, we need to make them obvious for habits we want to cultivate and invisible for those we wish to break. 2. The craving, the motivational force behind every habit. We don't crave the habit itself, but the change in state it promises. To make habits more attractive, we can bundle them with enjoyable activities or reframe them to highlight their benefits. 3. The response, the actual habit performed. For a habit to form, the response must be possible. To encourage good habits, we should make them easy. To discourage bad ones, we can introduce friction. 4. The reward, the end goal of every habit. Effective rewards provide immediate satisfaction while aligning with long-term goals. To reinforce good habits, we must make them satisfying. These 4 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Provide a powerful framework for shaping our habits. However, habit formation is not just about willpower or discipline. It's about creating systems that make good behaviors inevitable and bad behaviors impossible. The power of pattern recognition. Consider the story of the paramedic who recognized the signs of an impending heart attack in her father-in-law despite him feeling fine. This illustrates our brain's ability to recognize patterns and make predictions based on subtle cues, often without conscious awareness. Similar examples exist across various fields. A military analyst distinguishing between friendly and enemy aircraft. Art curators spotting forgeries that fool sophisticated tests. A radiologist predicting strokes before obvious signs appear. These cases highlight the brain's incredible pattern recognition capabilities. With enough repetition, we begin to notice important cues automatically, forming the foundation of habits. However, this automaticity is a double-edged sword. While it makes life more efficient, it can also trap us in unhelpful patterns, like mindlessly checking our phones or snacking out of boredom. The habit scorecard, a tool for awareness. One powerful technique for increasing habit awareness is inspired by the Japanese railway system's pointing and calling method, which reduces errors by 85%. We can adapt this by creating a habit scorecard. 1. List your daily routines in detail. 2. Evaluate each habit as positive, plus symbol, negative, or neutral equal sign, based on your goals. 3. Remember, no habit is inherently good or bad, only effective or ineffective at serving your long-term objectives. By bringing habits into conscious awareness, we can intentionally shape them to align with the life we want to build. The power of habit awareness and change. The challenge is to identify which habits are truly serving our long-term interests and which are providing short-term benefits at the expense of our broader goals. When evaluating your habits, consider this question. Does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? Does this habit cast a vote for or against my desired identity? Habits that align with and reinforce your desired identity are generally positive, while those that conflict with it are typically negative. As you work through your habit scorecard, resist the urge to judge or criticize yourself. The goal at this stage is simply to observe and become aware of your behaviors, not to change them immediately. Approach the exercise with a sense of curiosity, as if you were an impartial observer of your own life. Notice your patterns without attaching emotion or self-judgment to them. This neutral observation is a crucial first step in the process of habit change. By simply becoming aware of our habits, we often naturally begin to adjust our behaviors. It's like shining a light into a dark room. Suddenly, we can see what's actually there, and that awareness alone can be transformative. For those who find they need additional support in maintaining this awareness, the pointing and calling method can be adapted for personal use. For example, if you're trying to reduce snacking, you might say out loud, "I'm about to eat this cookie, but I don't need it. Eating it will move me further from my health goals." This verbalization brings the action fully into your conscious awareness, creating a moment of pause that allows you to make a more intentional choice. As you become more aware of your habits, you may start to notice the cues that trigger them. These cues, The ping of a notification, the sight of the TV remote, the smell of coffee, often become so familiar that they fade into the background of our awareness. By bringing these cues back into focus, we gain the power to interrupt the habit loop and potentially reshape our responses. It's worth noting that the process of habit change is not about achieving perfection or adhering to rigid routines. Rather, it's about making consistent small choices that align with our desired identity and long-term goals. Every action we take is essentially a vote for the type of person we want to become. We don't need to win every vote, but we need to win the majority to see real change. Moreover, habits don't exist in isolation. They're part of complex systems in our lives, often interconnected in ways we might not immediately recognize. Changing one habit can have ripple effects, influencing other behaviors and aspects of our lives. This interconnectedness can work in our favor. Sometimes, changing one keystone habit can lead to a cascade of positive changes across various areas of life. As we work on becoming more aware of our habits and shaping them intentionally, it's crucial to approach the process with patience and self-compassion. Habit formation and change take time. Our brains require repeated experiences to forge new neural pathways and strengthen them to the point of automaticity. This process can't be rushed, but it can be guided with consistent effort and awareness. It's also important to consider the broader implications of habit formation beyond individual behavior. Collective habits form the basis of culture, and societal change often involves shifting the habits of many individuals. By understanding and mastering our own habits, we not only improve our personal lives but potentially contribute to positive changes on a larger scale. The journey of habit awareness and change is not always easy. It requires us to confront uncomfortable truths about our behaviors and to challenge deeply ingrained patterns. However, the rewards of this process are immense. By bringing our habits into conscious awareness and intentionally shaping them to serve our goals, we gain a powerful tool for personal transformation. Imagine the compound effect of replacing just a few ineffective habits with more beneficial ones. Over time, these small changes can lead to dramatic improvements in our health, productivity, relationships, and overall quality of life. The key is to start small, focus on consistency rather than perfection, and maintain awareness of our behaviors over time. As we become more adept at recognizing and shaping our habits, we may find that this awareness extends beyond individual behaviors to larger patterns in our lives. We might start to notice recurring themes in our relationships, our work, or our emotional responses. This expanded awareness can open up new possibilities for growth and change in all areas of our lives. Furthermore, the skills we develop in habit awareness and modification can be applied to achieving any goal. Whether we're aiming to advance in our careers, improve our health, or cultivate better relationships, the ability to intentionally shape our habitual behaviors is a powerful tool. In conclusion, the journey of habit awareness and change is a fundamental aspect of personal growth and self-improvement. By bringing our automatic behaviors into conscious awareness, evaluating their effectiveness, and intentionally shaping them to serve our goals, we gain the power to direct our own evolution. This process requires patience, self-compassion, and consistent effort, but the potential rewards are immense. As we navigate this journey, we're not just changing our routines, we're reshaping our identity and our world. Each small action, each habit we modify, is a step toward becoming the person we aspire to be. In this way, the process of habit change is not just about achieving specific goals, but about continually growing and evolving as individuals. The power of habits lies not just in their ability to automate our behaviors, but in their potential to transform who we are and who we can become. By mastering our habits, we take control of our own destiny, creating the freedom to live life on our own terms and to make a positive impact on the world around us. The challenge lies in distinguishing which habits genuinely serve our long-term interests from those offering only short-term gratification at the expense of our broader aspirations. When evaluating your habits, ask yourself, does this behavior help me become the person I wish to be? Does this habit reinforce or undermine my desired identity? Habits aligning with your ideal self are inherently constructive, while those conflicting with it tend to be detrimental. As you catalog your habits, suspend self-judgment. This initial stage demands observation, not immediate transformation. Adopt the mindset of a neutral researcher studying your own behavior. Note patterns without emotional attachment. This detached awareness is revolutionary. Merely shining light on our automatic behaviors often initiates organic adjustment. For those needing reinforcement, vocalize your intentions using the pointing and calling technique. Before reaching for that unnecessary cookie, declare aloud, "I'm about to eat this, but it contradicts my health objectives." This auditory checkpoint disrupts autopilot mode, creating space for deliberate choice. Soon, you'll detect subtle triggers, the phone notification chime, the couch's indent where you binge watch, the mid-afternoon coffee aroma, that typically operate beneath conscious notice. By dragging these cues into daylight, we intercept the habit loop at its origin. Remember, habit change isn't about flawless execution, but consistent micro-choices that accumulate into identity shifts. Each action votes for your future self. Winning most elections, not every one, creates lasting change. Patience is non-negotiable. Neural pathways solidify through repetition. Our brains demand proof of a new habit's value before automating it. This biological reality means environmental design outperforms willpower every time. People exhibiting remarkable self-control usually engineer their surroundings to minimize temptation, not resist it through sheer grit. Practical strategies for habit reshaping. 1. Cue elimination. Store smartphones outside bedrooms to prevent scrolling. Unfollow social media accounts triggering comparison. Remove TV power cords after use. 2. Habit stacking. After established habit, I will new habit. Example, after brewing morning coffee, I'll meditate for 5 minutes. 3. Friction adjustment. Make good habits easier. Prep gym bags by the door. Make bad habits harder. Password protected streaming apps. The 4 pillars of habit formation. 1. Make it obvious. Design clear triggers for desired behaviors. 2. Make it attractive. Pair habits with immediate rewards. 3. Make it easy. Reduce activation energy for good habits. 4. Make it satisfying. Create tangible reinforcement. For habit elimination, invert these principles. Obscure triggers, highlight drawbacks, increase difficulty, and diminish rewards. The neuroscience of persistence. Research reveals how cocaine addicts' brains fire craving signals after mere 33 millisecond drug image exposures. Too brief for conscious recognition. This demonstrates habit pathways never truly disappear, only lie dormant. Willpower functions like a muscle that fatigues, while environmental redesign provides permanent leverage. Modern life bombards us with engineered temptations our ancestors never faced. By strategically constructing our physical and digital spaces, we compensate for this mismatch. Those appearing disciplined have often simply removed the need for discipline through smart environmental choices. Beyond personal transformation, our collective habits form societal norms. As you reshape personal patterns, you contribute to cultural shifts, whether establishing workplace wellness norms or modeling digital minimalism for friends. The most profound changes begin with individual awareness, expand through communities, and ultimately redefine what societies consider standard behavior. This journey requires compassionate persistence. There will be days when old patterns reassert themselves, not as failures but opportunities to strengthen your systems. Each conscious choice, each environmental tweak, each moment of awareness deposits another brick in the foundation of your transformed identity. The ultimate reward isn't just better habits, but becoming someone for whom good choices feel natural and aligned. That's when willpower becomes irrelevant, when you've redesigned your life so thoroughly that your highest self emerges not through struggle, but as the path of least resistance. The power of supernormal stimuli and habit formation. Tinbergen has revealed how deeply ingrained some of our responses to environmental cues can be. His experiments with herring gulls and greylag geese demonstrated the power of supernormal stimuli, exaggerated versions of natural cues that elicit stronger than normal responses. For instance, baby gulls were found to peck more vigorously at cardboard beaks with larger or more numerous red spots than at real gull beaks. Similarly, geese would attempt to roll larger egg-shaped objects into their nests with greater effort than they would expend on actual eggs. These findings have profound implications for understanding human behavior in modern contexts. Just as the animals in Tinbergen's experiments responded more strongly to exaggerated versions of natural stimuli, humans often find themselves powerfully drawn to supernormal stimuli in their environment. Junk food, with its heightened flavors and carefully engineered combinations of salt, sugar, and fat, is a prime example of this phenomenon. Our brains, shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of evolution in environments where calories were scarce, are primed to seek out and consume energy-dense foods whenever they're available. In our ancestral past, this drive served us well, helping to ensure survival in uncertain conditions. Today, however, in an environment of abundance, these same instincts can lead us astray, driving overconsumption and contributing to health problems. This mismatch between our evolutionary programming and our current environment extends beyond food to many other aspects of modern life. The instant gratification offered by social media, the immersive experiences provided by video games, and the constant stream of novel information available at our fingertips can all be seen as supernormal stimuli that hijack our reward systems in ways our ancestors never had to contend with. Understanding these dynamics can help us approach habit change with greater compassion for ourselves and others. It's not a matter of weak will or moral failing when we struggle with bad habits. We're often fighting against deeply ingrained instincts that served our species well for millennia but may be maladaptive in our current context. At the same time, this understanding empowers us to take more effective action. By recognizing the power of environmental cues and the limitations of willpower, we can focus our efforts on creating contexts that support our goals rather than undermine them. We can design our physical and digital spaces to minimize exposure to tempting stimuli and maximize exposure to cues that trigger positive behaviors. Moreover, we can work to create new, healthier supernormal stimuli that satisfy our innate drives in more beneficial ways. For instance, we might seek out activities that provide the novelty and excitement our brains crave. Engaging hobbies, challenging physical activities, or immersive learning experiences that contribute to our well-being rather than detract from it. In conclusion, the journey of habit change is a complex but fascinating one, deeply rooted in our evolutionary history and profoundly influenced by our modern environment. By understanding the mechanisms behind habit formation and persistence, we can develop more effective strategies for personal growth and self-improvement. The key lies not in heroic feats of willpower, but in thoughtful design of our environments and routines to align with our goals and values. Through this approach, we can harness the power of our habits to create lasting positive change in our lives.